To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's a Jeep.
It's probably mine.
All right.
Still not yours.
Yeah.
Blue Ivy.
I think John just turned his on. I don't think it was his.
It was out there. I forgot I felt it.
Yeah,
It is.
Cyber attack.
Black Wrangler.
Yeah.
John's yours, actually.
Yeah.
Well, now it's John's, but it was a Black Wrangler.
I think when he tried to turn it off, he turned his on.
Hit the wrong button. That happens.
Nobody's really gonna get that.
My police having this giant key.
All right, we started the meeting off with a bang.
I'll give a roll call in attendance tonight are Supervisors, President Ross, Clifford, and myself, Stephanie Vernon.
Any comments from the public, Mr. Strauss?
Yeah, Jason Fry signed up. It's weeks like this that I wish I would never stop throwing popcorn. So I'm here today to speak on the Ligonier Country Market. Specifically, we've received a lot of inbound requests to us in the last week about whether or not we think the market should proceed or not. I want to read a statement that we released today. I'm not going to read the whole statement, everybody can go find that. So we said that we fully support opening the 2025 Ligonier Country Market for the sake of the farmers, bakers, and producers who rely on it for their livelihoods. The market is an essential part of our community, providing access to fresh local food, driving customers into Ligonier to support other small businesses. So clearly, we believe this market should go forward in some form this year. We may disagree with the policies of the board for the Ligonier Country Market, and we believe that the community sentiment is against them literally 100,000 to 1. Just for point of record, I'm sure Mr. Strelly can continue to receive some emails. We've had almost 200,000 interactions with our original post. Huckabee Farms said they've received almost 100,000 interactions with their post. So that's about 300,000 eyes that are on this topic. That being said, in our correspondence with the board, they continue to point to the township as the reason for putting a new policy in place, specifically referring to the conditional use policy from 2008 that limits the number of vendors to 130. That being said, we feel that if the rules are going to be followed, they need to be followed equally and applied equally. And that would include, and Mr. Strellick, I think I included this in a note for you to share with the board, the requirement for that market to operate in the conditional use permit between Memorial Day and the weekend before Fort Ligonier Days. That the spaces for the market shall be 10 by 10 spaces, that agricultural permits will be provided at the time of application, and that the market shall provide to the public on demand a list of vendors at that market. I think there was some question of whether or not this board had a duty to look at the conditional use permit in conjunction with the special events permit. And Mr. Huda, I would let you speak to this to the board, but I believe that the Municipal Planning Act of 1968, specifically pamphlet number 805, number 247 applies, where a municipality must enforce all aspects of a conditional use permit when considering an event permit for the same parcel of land. And that is specifically outlined in section 603.1, 912.1, and 6.17. Specifically, since the conditional use permit was specific to the operation of the market, the conditional or temporary clause does not apply. And so that being said, we are asking, and I believe this board should consider, only approving the permit as it applies under the conditional use permit approved by this board in 2008, which means the market should only run from Memorial Day to the weekend before 48 days. The event spaces shall be limited to 10 by 10, so no double spaces, no triple spaces. And that the market should, and they continue to decline providing the list of vendors or proof that those vendors apply with the appropriate. And that's all I really have to say on that topic. Because it is a sunny day, we're going to try to spread some fertilizer. So. Any questions for me from the board? Thank you.
No other comments?
That was everyone who signed up.
Comments of the supervisors. Mr. Beaufort.
None at this time.
Mrs. Vernon.
I just wanted to give an update on the multi-modal bridge grant that we were awarded from the DCED. As you'll recall, we had put out a $1.2 million request for the project. We received a grant. We were awarded the grant for $538,000. The bridge will be connecting the high school coming across the bridge and the walkway into the borough. John and Michael had a meeting with the borough that went, I think, well. The borough is very supportive of it. The residents in the borough have been supportive of it, especially the ones whose properties are really along that sidewalk path. John and I, as well as Michael, also had a meeting with the school board, with a few members of the school board and the administration. The borough and some members from the borough's administration attended as well. Those discussions went well. They invited John and I to present at their meeting of the whole on April 21st. So we'll put a little presentation just to kind of show them what's happening with the project. And we're working with Ben, with the EADS group, to understand, are there ways, because we don't have all of the funding, what's sort of the minimum viable, what can we do to really understand how to narrow that down so that we can start to think about fundraising to make up that difference. So I just wanted to give everybody an update on that.
Thank you. Supervisor Risman?
Nothing at this time.
And I don't have anything at this time as well. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes for March 11th meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Correspondence.
A couple more stragglers, emails regarding the country market, 5 more, brings the total to 147. We received notification from the Loyal Hannah Watershed that they're interested in acquiring property around their other property on the Lincoln Highway. Fry property, it's landlocked property and probably worthless. We get $3.88 a year out of real estate tax. They're not going to, at least not at this time, ask to have that exempted because it's $3.88. Letter from EADS regarding Laurel Mountain Borough's Penvest application for water lines. This includes 3 township properties on Conestoga Circle. They get their water through Laurel Mountain Borough. I was prepared to write a letter of support as the letter from EADS asks, and was surprised to find that our comprehensive plan doesn't say anything about expanding water service or fixing broken water lines, which surprised me. Another thing we've been talking about, PennDOT doing work on the Peters Road Bridge for feels like 2 years now. They are finally going to be started on April 3rd for between 1 week and 2 weeks. So the Peters Road Bridge over the Loyal Hannah will be closed if anybody in the audience lives on Mule Lane. PennDOT's giving them 2 weeks to complete the work. The contractor thinks they can get it done in 1. That's weather dependent. And then one thing that came in this morning, so too late for the agenda, we have one unsolicited letter of interest for the vacant supervisor position from Bethany Caldwell. Unless there's any discussion on any of that correspondence. Well, since we last met, probably the most exciting thing that happened was we had multiple tornadoes in town. 2 tornadoes, 89-mile-an-hour winds. Basically, most of our roads closed at one point. About a third of the township was without power. But with all that, all I heard from our emergency management coordinator was that one house sustained minor damage, at least in the township. The house in Cook Township burned down, and no injuries, so could have been a lot worse. I want to thank the fire departments, obviously our public works crew, for cleaning things up. West Penn, so maybe on Fairview School, where they took a couple days. And also want to recognize our residents for just taking care of things themselves. It's happened a number of times to me where I've gotten a call about a tree down, gone out to see, is it in wires, can our guys handle it? We need heavy equipment, and I get there and there's residents with chainsaws cutting it up, taking it off the road. So there's definitely some help from our residents, and I appreciate it. The other big topic that happened since we last met is Idlewild. Maybe they haven't finalized yet, but they are selling. I don't expect any immediate changes to any of their operations. I also, unfortunately, don't expect to see any real estate tax revenue. So our lawyers are smart enough to structure it as a sale of a company rather than a sale of property. So I'm happy to hear that it's going to a company that invests in their properties, which is good news, but we're not going to see any immediate changes or any immediate windfalls, which is that's all I have.
Engineers report. Ben.
Ben's not able to be here today, but I really don't have much in the elaborating report. He did mention Patrick Green facility of 271. There's a lot more order on that by building codes, and other than that, that's pretty much it.
All right. Solicitor's report, Mr. Goodall.
Michael and I visited the Beard property on Cherokee Lane yesterday. This is the appointed day that we had told them that we would be on the property, as we're allowed to review things before there was snow and we couldn't really see. But I think Michael agrees that there really hasn't been a whole lot of progress, so I think we just need to keep moving, and it's, in my mind, pretty obvious.
It's certainly better than it was 2 years ago, but not much better. And it's been a while.
What's the next step?
I'm going to talk to Michael and Rick and look. We took a bunch of photos yesterday, so we'll kind of get those together, and then we'll ask the judge to schedule a hearing. Whether we have to ask the judge to come look at the property too, maybe that would be helpful. I think the defense is basically, well, this is all building material. This is all good stuff. This is stuff we're going to use. When I think it's pretty obvious where it needs to be stored differently. So that's all I have.
Staff reports. Rick.
It's a pleasure to be before the board again today. You have my report in front of you. What I do did change a little bit. The 4 active pursuing code complaints I have. I've set proposed dates for September the 30th. If they don't come into place then, I will be asking the board permission to engagements to do about to further those enforcement actions. Other than that, I'll take any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Rick? All right. Public Works, Lance.
Well, we'll start with the sweeper rental. So I'd like to have it here on the 17th of March. That wasn't an option because they're having issues with the brand new chassis of the truck. So we were scheduled for the 24th. That didn't become an option. Now we're getting it this Thursday, but they are working with us. They're actually going to give us $1,000 off of our rental rate. So at least they're doing something here to keep pushing us back and pushing us back.
See, we're not the only ones with mechanical problems.
Yeah, well, it's brand new too. That's so it's on its way. Sweeping will commence soon, as soon as we get it. The grader, it's been tore apart for a couple weeks in the back, getting necessary things done too. We got 4 cylinders, finally fixed the float on it. No one can remember when the last time that actually worked. That'll help a lot in grading, keeping the edge of the road from being torn out by us, and replacing things back. It should be put back together probably middle of next week, as we've been out doing pipes and other things that failed throughout the winter. Necessary things that sits there for a while, doesn't get worked on. All last week, I think we messed with it with the storm and everything. The guys did a great job with that. They were out here helping the fire departments. That was a good thing. And upcoming events, sweeping, tree trimming, and once we're done sweeping, we're going to move over to grading.
When's the new truck expected?
The new truck's estimated delivery date is April 1st. So that's pretty quick turnaround. I'll be surprised if we see it. So, and our much needed truck 8.
April 1st. 1st.
April 1st, yes. Yeah, right, yeah. That's not a number, right? And then our truck 8 needed to go to the dealership for a while, and it'll be going to people.
Except for that, everything else is good though.
Yep, I had nothing further.
And hats off to you guys. I know that right below my house got wiped out. We had no power till Sunday night, I think or Monday night about 9 p.m. and the cable finally came on Thursday. I think we got the cable hooked up again.
So yeah, I had a few guys out Sunday, even before 911 called. So that was good. They were able to get out there. When the 911 called, they were surprised they were already out there. Well, the trees are down and the fire departments need help. We can be there for them to be there.
I passed the guys coming out with backhoe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like it every time anymore than anybody else, but it's a necessity. Something like that.
Yeah, hats off to your guys. Basically, cleanup will start now. I know PennDOT's going to be down there for a couple of months on 2 mile. That mess.
Yeah, there was stuff everywhere. As you probably seen driving around, I mean, they decided where it was going to tear stuff up. It's pretty much here, there, and everywhere.
Finance report, Beverly.
We have a couple of reports in your package. If you have any questions, please walk in past. I'm still learning. We're going to be making a few more weeks and pushing on. I will meeting with Supervisor after the meeting to discuss the report.
No, I think I've been keeping track of a few things where we were over budget, under budget, some overtime, saving some money there. So I've been keeping that running list. Once we kind of get the new format, we'll start to keep track of some of that.
Anybody else have any questions for Beverly?
But at this point, we're not off budget. There hasn't been anything that came up. Do you know what I mean so far that we indicated?
The only thing I still was over.
We were aware of that. That's one of the things that we've noted so far.
Okay. All right. Treasurer's report. Thank you, Beverly.
That's it. All we have today is the approval of the bills. There's 2 bill due lists in your packets, one from the general fund for $22,919.34, and a second one for Ligonier Beach property for $10,156.10. Motion to approve both bill due lists.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Pay the bills. All right, unfinished business, Ligonier Country Market special events permits.
Yeah, we held this at the last meeting for a number of technical deficiencies that Rick found when he did his deep dive through the paperwork. Those have been rectified, the updated special events permits before you. The chief had one request regarding the high school and the school district having approval to use their parking lot, and Kelly provided that, so I have no outstanding agreements for the Ligonier Country Market.
Mr. Rudolph, do you have anything else? No. We get a motion to approve.
So they still have to give us their bond insurance requirements? They haven't done
They
that?
updated that. It should be.
We have the certificate.
Say again?
We have the certificate?
Yes.
Somewhere in this packet.
Now, I guess I had the question, it was brought up earlier by our speaker. This permit has nothing to do with what was submitted and approved.
There's the liability insurance.
Back in 08.
Well, certainly related.
So if they're not meeting the stuff in 08, it doesn't matter. Do we issue this?
I don't think we would exactly, but I don't see how they're not in compliance with their conditional use.
Is there anything in the application that's inconsistent with the
So there-
7 or 8 conditions that were?
So I'll cut to the chase on a couple of these. I'm sorry, John. One item on here, so when we look at this conditional use, and I'm going to this original kind of 5-page document that summarizes that. There's a section in here that outlines what the proposal is. It requires it be make it, bake it, grow it. Items sold at the market, no resale permitted. 75 to 120 vendors with a maximum of 130. That's bizarre language. Why not just say up to 130? Selling pop-up tents or trucks in 10 by 10 spaces, no permanent shelters. Vendors are responsible for securing licenses with the Department of Agriculture for compliance with department regulations and for payment of sales tax. Vendors handling food must provide a copy of the license to manufacture food and food sanitation certificate to verify training on proper food handling and cleanliness when they apply for the space at the market. So they're required to submit that to Country Market. I don't think in here it says that needs to come to us. It says it can be open from Memorial Day to Saturday from 8 a.m. until noon. The rest of it is around temporary signs, porta potties, and lighting. So one discrepancy in the application is the event date that their application. So I think the way I look at this is the conditional use.
Right.
So they are allowed to hold this event at this location within these parameters.
Right. Well, not those parameters. Those are, that's the findings of fact. That is not the conditions that the township imposed upon them.
Okay.
Right.
So if I go to the next page,
Conclusions.
if we go to the conclusions page, it talks about Country Market may operate between 5 and 3 p.m. on Saturday. So in here, they actually, their permission to operate is a little bit longer than initially. Saturdays from Memorial Day through 4th Day. So one issue that we have in here is this says it starts before Memorial Day. Correct? So that, if we sign this permit, we're allowing use on that property outside of the conditional use. That seemed pretty straightforward to me, unless I'm missing something. No lighting, applicant will install temporary traffic signs, which they do. We say the applicant will maintain a list of vendors, addresses, and vendor locations and numbers, which will be available to the public or the township in the event of a complaint. I do know they post that. I think there's a sign they put up down there each week, because that's what I was using when they were going and had too many vendors.
It's online also.
Applicant will be responsible for the porta potties. It says here, I thought this was interesting. The applicant request for a sign permit under the terms and conditions set forth is approved for each year. I don't know is that the sign down on the corner? What's the sign permit, or is that just for the road sign?
I don't know.
It says the applicant shall make no changes or deviations from the approved township size sign permit except for hours of operation. I didn't, in this, couldn't find the sign permit. It says the applicant will pay any fee. So really, the considerations that we have in here, if you're saying, Dan, it's not the findings, it's this bullet point that
Yes.
was the approval. So the requirements that we had then were around, it's really the Memorial Day and the timeline to October. And then the list of vendor names, we could request that from them. I mean, I don't know that we have. But it doesn't say that they have to include it in the permit or anything. And I think issuing this permit is one thing. If we then go and say, give us a list of the vendors, and they would refuse, then they would be in violation of the conditional use.
Right, you
The
give them a
permit
warning.
doesn't give you an exception to bar. That's my understanding of it.
The only thing I see is you have to change the conditional use permit from Memorial Day to 4 days. They have to change it.
I think they have
I
to
don't
come back.
think we're changing the conditional use. We're
If they want to
changing the
change it,
permit
if they want to
application.
enlarge it, if they want to
Yeah.
deviate from
This
that, they have to come back to the supervisor.
separately.
Yes.
Their special event permit application must comply with this conditional use.
Yes,
It appears to do that with the exception of the Memorial Day start.
yes.
So they could either change this, or they have to come back and go through the process to amend the conditional use.
They couldn't get the conditional use permit.
There's no condition, wait, hang on. We're saying, hang on, Eric, you're suggesting
Well, I'm
they go to
sorry,
change
the
conditional
special-
use or the special event
Special event
application?
permit application.
There's no way that they could do all the paperwork we demand by May 3rd or 10th, whatever their opening day is,
For what?
if they want to open before Memorial Day.
Correct, so I think that's, I mean, we could give them that option, I don't think that's gonna happen, so then I think the answer would be, they have to limit this to Memorial Day.
But approve it consistent with the conditions in the, yeah, which would mean, Memorial Day start.
So,
I mean, that's the letter of the law, I mean, it sounds like it.
So the conditional use permit does apply to our special event permit.
You shouldn't grant a permit to do something inconsistent with
Without.
the land use.
But I think if we issue this special event permit, that does not prevent us from later, once they're in operation, to follow up to separately ensure that they're following the conditional use.
Rick would go down and warn them, issue a violation, et cetera, you know, if something is not complying with those 7 or 8 points. Or conditions, which were intentionally put on in 2008.
so they have to redo their special event permit to reflect the current dates, and then.
Or we could just approve it contingent upon
Yeah, that would be fine, I think.
The dates.
the dates being revised to comply with the conditional use.
Okay. I have a motion to approve special event permit application with the dates in the special use agreement, correct? Conditional.
I would
Conditional
say
use
with
agreement.
event date, I would modify the event dates to comply with the conditional use.
Yes.
I will make a motion that we approve the special event permit application submitted by the Country Market, with one modification, which is that the event dates remain in compliance with the conditional use approval.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Did you get that motion?
Close. Yeah.
Not when I read it, I'll go.
Next item on the agenda was on the agenda last week, the Stewart Landy Plan, was held at the request of the property owners while they went and got their signatures. This is a situation where someone built too close to the property line, so the penalty is either tear your garage down and move it, or buy land from your neighbors to make it in compliance.
And they bought the land.
Correct.
Any other questions? Can I get a motion to approve the Stewart Landy plan?
I will make a motion to approve the Stewart Landy plan.
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and then next is the cable franchise service authorization.
Yes, our cable franchise agreement with Comcast expires October of 2026. Comcast has already reached out to us to start negotiations, something I thought I could handle myself, and I cannot. I have neither the expertise nor the time. So I recommend hiring the same people we hired last time, 5 years ago, to negotiate the current contract, which is the Cohen Law Group. That, beyond just using them 5 years ago, I've heard very good things about them and would recommend them.
Any questions on
Yeah, the only thing they have in here is a third, the one at commencement of the project, a third at the middle of the project, and a third at the conclusion. How are they defining that timing in the project?
I could check the longer 14-page document.
Just so that you're clear and you understand those milestones. But
Yeah,
to me, like, the conclusion would be we have an executed agreement.
that's what I would assume as well, the third being from the day we hire them till,
I don't know, I don't understand that middle milestone. I would get clarification on the second milestone.
I'll certainly get clarification, it's a good question. I would guess a third or a half of the way till October 2026 when it expires. I can certainly get clarification.
I want it half of the way on the work delivery, and, you know what I mean, on their progress, not just time passage.
We check on that, bring that back, we'll vote on that.
I mean, I'm fine, I'll make a motion that we approve, Michael to engage Helen Law Group for negotiating our cable franchise agreement.
You get a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, new business. We have Supervisor Matson's resignation.
Yes, so we have, from the day he resigned, which was last meeting, 45 days to accept the resignation. From the time you accept it, you have this board, the 4 of you remaining, have 30 days to appoint someone to take his place. If can't get to 3 votes for someone, the vacancy board, which is the 4 of you plus John Frazier, who was appointed this year, come together. If the 5 of you fail to do so after 15 days, it goes to the courts. So as I see it, the board has 3 options. You could vote to accept his resignation today and appoint someone. You could vote to accept his resignation today and put out a call for letters of interest, which I think we've done in the past, appoint someone at one of the April meetings. Or, and this is probably a dumb idea, but it's an idea, do not vote to accept his resignation today, and the highest vote getter, or second highest, if Mr. Ross gets the most votes at the May 20th primary, we run out the clock just right, you can give that person a head start. Again, probably not a great idea, but it is an option because we're within the timeline to get to that May 20th primary.
I'd like to make a motion that we accept Supervisor Matson's resignation and request interested residents to submit letters so that they can be reviewed for us to take action ahead of our next meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The letters would be in before April the 8th. That's what I mean.
Let's clarify that. I would like to have time to review the letters, so.
Then if we have 30 days. 30 days would be April 26th to appoint somebody. That's after our last meeting next month. We could appoint somebody April the 22nd. If we have the letters in by April the 8th, which is our next meeting, then we'll have the time to review that before the 22nd.
I'd like to take action sooner than that, if possible. I mean,
Well, then
is
you
there a
don't
reason?
have, you don't have time to review it. You have one more meeting, April the 8th. You gotta give the people some time to get the letters in,
Yeah, so I say we give them this week and next week so that
which would be April the 8th.
I'm saying, but I would make the cutoff 5 p.m. April 4th. That way, Michael can get those letters to all of us. That gives us time over the weekend to review
And
them all.
appoint somebody on the 8th.
And then do the appointment on the 8th.
Just to clarify, we look at letters and then we review them. Are we looking to just review the letters or are we looking to interview those people?
I'd say do whatever you find necessary to be comfortable to come forward and present who you think is the candidate that you would like.
I don't think we can review them as a township supervisor, because only 2 of us could do it at a time.
So I think that's the way if we get the letters in time, that gives us some time to look at them, review them, and if we want to do any exploration to understand these folks or reach out to them individually, we can do that then over that weekend or ahead of the next meeting. So letters to be submitted by 5 p.m. Friday,
April 4th.
April 4th. So I'd like to modify the motion to include, so I'll make a motion that we require those letters to be submitted by 5 p.m. April
Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Next is complete commission litigation.
As discussed at the last meeting with Mr. Gungler's letter and the meeting before under solicitors' reports, this litigation is functionally over. Mr. Gungler is no longer on the police commission board, and Mr. Andrews is, but, well, we still have litigation.
Yeah, it's open on the docket, it's a simple process, I just file a precedent to discontinue and end. I can do that electronically from my desk tomorrow, if you'd like.
Make a motion, we end it.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next we have the holding tanks, which,
Yeah, I don't know if there will be any action, but just wanted to follow up from last meeting's discussion since I was unprepared. I didn't realize we'd be talking about holding tanks. So there was a question about the agreement that was in front of the board and whether it could be modified. That agreement was attached to the ordinance that passed in 1997 or 1998. The board can certainly modify that ordinance, which would modify that agreement, but Rick and I can't unilaterally change the agreement since the previous board passed that and enshrined it into law. There was a question about things being pumped and perhaps we should be getting receipts at a certain minimum time. I know of 2 holding tanks that are in good condition and will never be pumped because they're not used. So there's certainly some out there that exist that will never send us receipts. Also dug through some old files and provided a list of the holding tanks that we are aware of. Not everything on that list has agreements attached to it. Some of them are just rumors or things I've heard. Like the one guy who told me he had a holding tank that was put in the middle of the night and then changed his mind and got a septic permit.
Okay, but in reading this ordinance, I guess at the end of the day, before we go and need to change the ordinance, my first question was, what if we just enforce the ordinance that we have? Because we don't keep track of any of it right now, so we don't enforce it.
We enforce holding tanks the same as any other sewage complaint, which is if there's evidence of sewage, we call our sewage enforcement officer and they can go enforce.
So like our holding tank ordinance has a section in here, section 7 and 8 talk about the exclusiveness, the rights and privileges, and then the duties of the improved property owner. So if it's the duty of the owner to do certain things, they need to provide proof of an agreement between the owner and who's pumping it. They need to provide proof with the DEP, permit the supervisors and the agents to install it, agree to the cost of maintenance. There's a violation of $1,000 a day. There's supervisors, it says right in here, we will, it says not we might, it says supervisors will complete and retain annual inspection reports for each tank. I don't think that says only if somebody complains. I don't think sewage tanks is something that is complaint based.
To my knowledge, we have never done that.
I understand that we never did that. We had an ordinance on the books that we weren't aware of or weren't enforcing it. We're now aware of it. So the question, I guess, before the board is, do we want to take action to modify this and then enforce something? Do we want to enforce what we have on the books, or do we want to just continue ignoring this?
What do you want to modify? Suggestion?
The only thing in here that bothered me was we acquire an application when they first come in to show the contract that they have with the company that's pumping it. The only other requirement I would be send me evidence of your current contract. Do you know what I mean? And that you had it, the frequency at which it was pumped. Like, I think there should be an annual requirement. Here's my contract that was in place for this year coming up, and here's a copy of what I paid for last year. It says they have to provide that. For whatever reason, when I read this, I only felt like they needed to do that year one, a separate year.
The way I read it. Continue. we don't enforce any of it, so there's probably a dozen, maybe 2 dozen. Know of.
And so I guess that's the other thing too, we've talked about before, just because we make a mistake, I don't think a mistake or an oversight necessarily gives a free pass to everybody in the township. Do you know what I mean? Just because we overlooked a fence not being a wall, doesn't mean we would let other residents to put a wall up and call it a fence. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was an issue and an oversight, so we corrected moving forward. If we have a list of tanks, I mean, I think it could be, we explore and investigate what we're aware of, start to address that with the proper protocol moving forward, and any new ones that come in, follow that protocol. And to me, that seems what would be appropriate, unless, do you know what I mean, the rest of the board, other members of the board disagree.
Oh, that's reasonable.
And I think that we work to get this more efficient and also better documented going in the future.
Yes.
Yeah.
No use in having a ordinance if we're not gonna touch it. or do it.
Correct, and I don't want to hassle residents that have holding tanks, but I also acknowledge that there's a lot of residents that have probably made significant investments to install sewage treatments on-lot systems that were extremely expensive, and if the option could be to anybody throw a holding tank in and we're not going to check it, you know what I mean, that seems not fair to the people that are complying.
When we do find it, it's catastrophic, per se.
So I mean, my suggestion would be that there's some type of a goal put in place between Mr. Strelick and Mr. Kraus, where I would ask them to come back and propose to the board a little timeline for the project plan to go through, do assessments of these existing lines, establish and document what your internal process is going to be to ensure future compliance, to then communicate with these folks, you know what I mean? But I think we need to put a little bit of a timeline in place. I'd rather not dictate that to you. I don't know what your day-to-day work is. That might be something I would ask you to come back to the board with, your recommendation on how you plan. Do you know what I mean? To get
Plan to enforce the entire ordinance in its whole entirety, is what you're asking, for just certain portions of
the whole ordinance. I would ask that you guys come back with a proposal on how you would go about enforcing this against what we know. Let's not worry about the unknown. Let's focus on what we know. Then why don't you come back and let us know what your concerns would be, your specific concerns, and what you feel the timeline would be to bring things into compliance. You know what I mean? And the timeline of how you would attack this kind of step by step.
All right, we'll work on that and discuss it in the next meeting.
All right. I don't think we need an executive session.
No, the only thing would have been discussing police litigation, but that was quick and easy.
Very good. Comments from the public?
I just have one question. How are you going to publicize, get the word out about people getting their letters of interest in?
It'll be, Michael, it'll be on our website.
Website, Facebook, and if anybody else wants to spread the word.
In the
Can I-
newspaper.
Newspaper.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Jeff.
Any other comments? Comments to the supervisors? Mr. Russell.
Yeah, I'd like to echo earlier comments about what a good job the road crew did. When I first got on the board, there was always a lot of controversy, a lot of unhappiness, and I've never seen a road crew get along better than the one that we have in Holland. So please pass that along to the crew. Thank you, Lance, for all your hard work. Thank you, Rick, for what you're doing for us.
Mr. Rupert.
No comment.
Mrs. Burke.
None other than I would encourage interested residents that would like to be considered for the appointment to send their letters with details as to what they feel their credentials are and why they would want to serve.
And the only comment I have is echoing the same. The tornado basically blew right over my house and took out pretty much all the trees in the hollow below me. You know, I saw Waterford Fire Department down there, which was Darlington's territory helping out. I was listening to the 911 because I was basically tree locked in, 2 miles blocked in both ways, so I couldn't get out. I think that, you know, all the fire companies in the valley, and even we had, I think, who came over, was it,
Each fire company had a standby. I think Wilton, Waterford had Fairfield, Newport, and then
Marguerite came over.
Marguerite was over in Ligonier.
Yeah, so, you know, not only our community helped out, we had other communities come in to help out with that, and then of course, you know, our road crew did a great job. I actually got a text message from a resident saying, "Where's the road crew?" And I texted back, "They're out." So, hats off to your guys. You know, like Dan said, I resonate with that we had a lot of issues. I know when I started, it seems like now that, you know, stuff gets done in a timely fashion and efficient fashion, and it gets done right the first time, which I think the Band-Aids are basically put away for a lot of the stuff. So we appreciate that. I'm sure the residents can see the road conditions have drastically improved here over the last 3 years. So hats off to the volunteers, of course, and then the road crew. And even the police were out moving branches and stuff. They don't have chainsaws and stuff, but they were out, you know, helping out, and I'm sure dragging and doing some other stuff. So hats off to those guys as well. Anybody else have any other comments? Can I get a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Meeting adjourned.
Yes, I would plan, please.
Stay away.
I'm really close. I knew you were looking I don't know if I should drive through that. Already go. Yeah, I had my show.
Oh, I'm sure it's well, they don't wait.
We've lost power now.
And of course he got me like on it.
Yeah, because I have to.
Yes, you don't even have
Transfer switch, conduit, I must wire. What do you, how do you heat your house?